Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Just want to start off by saying thanks so much for checking out the last video. Really appreciate all the feedback on that. Today I'm wearing the Hawaiian shirt because I'm on vacation, baby. We're talking about deload weeks. We're talking specifically about how I really screwed up my deload week. We're going to go through what a deload is. We're going to go through how you deload, when it's appropriate to deload, and then we're going to talk about my specific experience with this deload week in the middle of this program. So without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes, baby, the reason that you're all here. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying what I say in these videos is not gospel. I make sure that I have an evidence base for all of the claims that I make, but that does not mean that you have to go out and put these things into your program. You may never need to do a deload week. If you're not competing in powerlifting, if you're not a bodybuilder, you may never need to deload. If you're just running on the treadmill every day, there's no reason to take time off unless you injure yourself. So, just because I program deloads does not mean that you need to program deloads. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about what specifically a deload week is. Now, a deload week in the context of a training block is a week where you reduce volume or you reduce intensity or both during your training in order to promote recovery. We apply stresses to our body, lifting weights, cardiovascular stress, what have you. Then we need to recover from that stress, and then our body adapts. So it's that general process that gets us to where we want to be. The recovery part of that is very important, which is why sometimes if you're a power lifter, if you're a bodybuilder, if you're an Olympic weightlifter, you need to program specific times to recover. A lot of people are like me and find that if you don't make specific time for recovery, you just keep pushing and pushing, and there's this culture of go hard, go 110%, which is great. We love that culture, but we also have to remember that our body can't go 110% all the time. Sometimes we need to dial it back a little bit. Sometimes we got to throw the Hawaiian shirt on, we got to take a couple deep breaths, and we got to chill. So another important thing to remember about a deload is specifically used to reduce the stress on your central nervous system. As you train, as you're throwing heavy weights on your back, you're doing heavy sets of deadlifts, your central nervous system acquires fatigue. So in order to allow the central nervous system to recover, you take a week where you're lowering your intensity, meaning the amount of weight on the bar, how hard you're training, or you're lowering your volume, meaning the amount of sets that you're doing, or both. Another super important thing to remember when we're talking about a deload is it needs to be a deload. I have gone through 3 or 4 deloads in the past where I've hit 2 days where I'm just kind of milling about in the gym, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm recovered, and I'm right back up to full intensity, and then it turns out I wasn't recovered, and oh no, now we're feeling really tired and we're in the middle of a mesocycle and we're not getting productive training. So when we deload, we need to strip the weight off the bar. We need to understand that our ego is attacking us, and we got to say, no, listen to me, ego. Get under control, baby. We are lowering the weight. It doesn't matter that your gym crush is over there and you want to throw 5 plates on the bar when you're squatting. If you're in a deload session, it needs to be a deload session. A deload is a little different for strength training versus hypertrophy training. Hypertrophy training is just building muscle. Strength training, either you're a power lifter, you're an Olympic weightlifter, you're a strongman. There's a little bit of difference in how you should program a deload week. So as I understand it, and obviously I'm not a researcher, I'm taking all of this information from incredible researchers in the field, Dr. Mike Israetel, Dr. Brad Schoenfeld. These are both incredible researchers that I take a lot of my information from, and I would encourage you all to go and seek out their content because they're on the front lines. They're doing the research. I'm just kind of digesting it and regurgitating it out for you guys. So if you want a more in-depth look, I'll link Dr. Mike's video on deloading down in the description, and I would highly recommend you go check it out. But his take on it is if you're deloading for strength, what you want to do is you want to drop your weight and your volume by 50%. So how does that pertain to me? As you know, we're working high frequency. We're working a lot of barbell movements. So let's just take the deadlift, for example. The week before you did deadlifts, you did 5 sets of 300 pounds, right? Felt good. But again, you've programmed the deload week. You're going to follow through with your past self, and you're going to do the deload week. So you're going to do 3 sets, and you're going to do 150 pounds. You're still getting the touches in for strength, which is really important because strength training is so technical that taking a week off completely is a little ill-advised. And You can really hone in on technique when you lower the weight. You can really understand with the deadlift, are my lats being impacted? Am I firing the right musculature at the same time? Am I squeezing the glutes at the top of the lift? You can really go through those technical checkpoints when the weight is lowered because you're not stressed out and only focused on, oh, can I get this weight up to where I need to be? So that's a huge benefit. It's not really smart for strength purposes, like I said, to take a full week off because of the technicality. It is at the end of the day, it's your choice. If you want to just say, I'm not going to the gym for the whole week, I'm burned out, that is totally fine. However, it can be a little suboptimal. Now, when we're training for hypertrophy, we want to drop the volume and we want to drop the intensity again. So instead of percentages, we're talking about RPE. So if you're training at an RPE, a rate of perceived exertion, at 8 or 9 in your previous week, you reach your deload week, you drop that down to maybe 5 or 6, right? And you drop your sets as well. Cut them in half. Another factor of deloads that a lot of people don't talk about is psychologically, man. Sometimes you've been going 4, 6, 8 weeks in the gym and you are burned out. In that scenario, programming a deload week can reignite your passion for the gym. I know that after 3 or 4 days off and not being under a barbell, I am ready to run through a wall to get back under a barbell. And I hope that that's the same way for you guys. And even if it's not, after a week, you can muster up that discipline. You can muster up that motivation to get back in the gym. So there's a physical component and there's also a psychological component. Now that we have beat the deload definition to death, let's move on to my experience. I'm going to try and talk about my process. I've just gone through a deload week, and maybe you can pick up some tips as you go. So, why the title of this video is Why I Failed a Deload Week is because, as you know, I have strength goals. I want to be a competitive powerlifter. I'm trying to cut weight. I just straight up took the whole week off. Dun, dun, dun. I know. How could you? Well, I have had deloads in the past. I've done maybe 3 or 4 deload weeks in the past, and I've milled about in the gym. I've done some weights here. I've done some cardio, and I just felt like I was wasting my time. So for this deload week, for this program, I just said, I'm just not going to go. I'm going to stop counting calories for the whole week. I'm going to not go to the gym. Basically, I cut my activity down to almost nothing. Huge failure on my part. I feel like maybe in the future, I will be programming a more strict deload week where I follow some of these tips that I've picked up from Dr. Mike. I cut my volume down, I cut my intensity down, but I'm still in the gym because when I leave the structure, I am a creature of habit. And when I leave that, it is showtime at the Apollo, baby. I'm eating so much food. I'm laying on the couch. I'm watching YouTube videos. I am literally undermining some of the progress that I've made, which is part of the process. Sometimes you're going to reach low points and you just come back harder. So I've started training again. I'm back at it. I'm feeling good. But in the future, I'm definitely planning to program a more strict deload. I'm a data junkie. So I took a couple measurements of my recovery, my weight, my calories, etc. So we're going to go through that really quickly. So grip strength is actually a really good indicator of fatigue and of fatigue accumulation. I have this handy dandy grip strength tester here. It measures your grip strength in pounds, your pressure basically. So I took a measurement at the beginning of my deload week. That was Sunday of last week. And my pounds per pressure was 105. So I had 105 pounds of pressure. I just took one again yesterday. That was again Sunday, and it went up to 117 pounds. Is this incredible? Maybe not. I don't know. I love data. I'm just presenting the data to you. Is it conclusive? Again, I'm not a scientist, baby. I'm just here trying to figure stuff out the same way as you guys. I thought it was interesting. Threw it in the video. My weight is actually what's really funny. So Sunday, I weighed myself 285. Feeling good. No problems. I weighed myself again yesterday, 291. Wow. I looked at that number and I was floored. 291. I was like, okay, maybe I've gained 2 or 3 pounds. 291. 6 pounds in a week. Kind of nuts. I think a lot of that is water weight. I was eating a lot more salt. I'm holding a lot more water. I think realistically, I probably gained 2 or 3 pounds of actual body fat. Nothing catastrophic. We get back on the horse. If you guys ever experience a time when you put on a little bit more weight than you were expecting, it's all about the next day, man. Can you just get back on the horse? Don't let the number define you. Find success by doing what you're supposed to do, getting active, eating what you're supposed to eat. Don't let the number define you. That's the most important thing. So even though I saw 291, felt a little down about it, I got right back up on the horse today, and I'm feeling a lot better. And I'm sure that we'll get that weight off in a heartbeat. Really quickly, my daily average calorie burn. Now, this is Fitbit information, so obviously take this with a grain of salt. I honestly think there's like a plus minus 500 calories either way, but it's the data we have, so we're going to go with it. Basically, my average calorie burn during my deload week went from 4,800, that's when I'm training, down to 3,200. Kind of nuts. Basically, I was sedentary. I was editing, I was streaming, I was sitting on the couch watching YouTube videos. I wasn't even getting my 10,000 steps that I normally try to do. So 3,200 is actually a little bit more than I was expecting. And also, my calories consumed went from 2,500 when I'm tracking pretty religiously to around 3,500. Again, I wasn't tracking, but based on, my intuition, I'd say we were around 3,500 calories. All right, so that's my experience. Now, where do we go from here? Obviously, we can't just sit in a deload week for the rest of our training block. That's counterintuitive. That's not going to work. We're moving on. We're back to another 4-week training block. I just finished a session before recording this video. The muscles feel good. The weight's moving well. My cardiovascular fitness feels a little rough, but hopefully I'll get right back in the groove. As you know, as I've talked about, the plan is another 4-week block and then a deload. But this time I'm going to see if my body really needs it. I'm going to try and determine, am I experiencing strength loss after this 4 weeks? Am I feeling like coming out of week 3, going into week 4, I could not do the deadlifts that I did the week before, the squats that I did the week before? If I'm really struggling, then we're going to have the deload. If not, I'm going to take 2 days off and we're going to go right into the 1 rep max test. And obviously, like I've said, from here on out, when I do need deloads, they're going to be a little bit more structured. I'm going to take the advice of people way smarter than me, Dr. Mike, Dr. Brad, and I'm going to actually structure out a deload. All right, everybody, that is going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found some information that you can apply to your training. If you ever have any questions, my email is in the description, or you can come hang out on Twitch, twitch.tv/CaptainSpaceBeard. We would love to have you in the chat. You can ask me whatever you want, and I'll get to you immediately. Have a great rest of your Monday. Crush this week in the gym. Crush your nutrition, everybody. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, we'd love to have you. Leave a like on this video. Get strong. Stay strong. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.